It's Albert Prince Bell, 21-0 checking in, and you rocking with Keeping It Real Sports. And we gonna be on these. We gonna be on a lot of times. I love the platform. Check in. It's the new wave. Like, follow, subscribe, and do all that good stuff.
Oh, it's Saturday morning. Thanks for joining the Keeping It Real Sports podcast. I am the Real Sports guy, Steve Taylor. He is the Sandman, Andy Sanzada. Appreciate you hanging in there with us through technical difficulties. But here we are, man. We got so much to talk about. We're gonna kick off NFL coverage today. I'm pumped because we're gonna preview the AFC East and the NFC East. And we're going to get to talk about the quarterbacks in the NFC East. Say, man, we got a big show, bro.
Big show, and it's SummerSlam Saturday. We're going to get into that here shortly in the quick hitters, but excited to be with you as always, Steve. And again, thanks to everybody for being patient with us. Hey, these things happen. You know, it's live TV. It's going to happen from time to time. So thanks for hanging in with us, and let's get right into the quick hitters.
Quick hitters. Quick hitters.
All right, Steve, we talked about this a couple weeks ago when it first happened, but now it's become a little bit more serious. And Brittney Griner is still over in Russia. However, this week, the government finally has stepped in and made an offer to deal a prisoner that Russia has been wanting back in exchange for Griner and another hostage, if you will, over there. So what do you think? Is she coming home finally?
Yeah, it looks like, man, she's on her way home. It's about time, man, that they got themselves together. Man, get the girl home. That's the bottom line.
All right, and then sticking with basketball in the NBA, a lot of rumors moving around after a couple quiet weeks for Kevin Durant. Now we've got a pretty big rumor that could come to fruition here. The Celtics are now the odds-on favorite to land Durant. Steve, they made an offer, but the Nets countered that offer. Your thoughts on, number one, is this a good fit? Number two, what do you think of the offers that were placed?
If I'm the Celtics, man, I really have to look at doing whatever I could to get a guy like KD. He's the guy that could get you over the top. The Nets want any deal to include Marcus Smart and Devin White in addition to Jaylen Brown with the picks. It's a lot to pay for, but, you know, if you want to win, you got to pay for it.
Interesting that Jason Tatum said he likes the team right where it's at.
What else was he going to say?
Is that a little bit of a dig?
What else is he going to say? I mean, I get it, man. These dudes on the team, man, y'all talking about what want to happen. I'm telling you what's happening now. I get it. Good move, Jason.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot. I mean, that would be a lot for Boston to give up if they answer the counter. I know Durant's obviously one of the greatest players ever. However, if you're giving up half your team, is that going to make it the difference? We'll see. All right. Zion Williamson signed a contract last week, but this week we find out that the Pelicans included a weight clause in his contract. So his weight plus his body fat cannot exceed 295 pounds. They gave a lot of money to this guy, Steve. I don't have a problem with this. I really don't. I think that this is okay to me. I mean, you're going to pay a guy almost $200 or over $200 million. I think you have a right to say, hey, you can't get fat.
Oh, absolutely, man. Especially when that's been the catalyst for your injury problems in the first place. So they got to put in something to protect themselves, man, from that much money. I totally get it. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we didn't talk about LIV last week for the first time in a while, but it's back, and here's why. Bubba Watson is going to leave the PGA Tour, and he's going to take a $50 million guaranteed contract to go play on LIV Golf. This was a little bit of a surprise, Steve, only because there's a possibility that the PGA Tour might exclude LIV players from majors. Well, Bubba Watson's a two-time Masters winner. I mean, that tournament is everything to him. He's from Georgia. He's from Atlanta. This one caught me off guard a little bit.
I keep telling you, Andy. I'm telling you, bro. These dudes are gaining momentum, and they're going to make the PGA change a lot of its philosophies. You're going to have to change to keep up with the Joneses.
Well, in addition to that, they announced that they're going to play 14 events in 2023, and the total purses of all of those events are over $400 million. That is a statement in and of itself right there.
Yep. Big up to Kingston Dread, man. Great point that he brings up, man, that the Russians, man, threw in, he says, a horseshoe in the deal. He says the Russians now want 2 for 2 before releasing Brittney Griner. Man, that's interesting because, I did hear that. So they just don't want the one guy. They want doubles, man, because there is another guy involved in the Brittney Griner case. Just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that update on that. In addition to that, Steve, I was reading an article earlier this week that said that Griner's testimony might have done herself in regardless of what the U.S. tries to do. So that we'll just have to keep an eye on that situation as it transgresses. All right, we talked about it earlier. It's SummerSlam Saturday tonight, live at 8 o'clock on Peacock. We've got SummerSlam in Nashville. It's going to take place in the Tennessee Titans Stadium. We're going to highlight what we think are going to be the most entertaining matches to watch. Let's start with the entertainer, The Miz, right here against Logan Paul. That's a little bit of an older graphic, but it is tonight, not 1 week from tonight. Yeah. But, Steve, I can't stand this guy. I think it was a mistake by the WWE to sign him. The fans are not going to like him at all. And listen, if the fans are cheering for this, okay, what does that say about the start to his WWE career? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that means that I like that. That's what that means. That's why. That means I like that. That's what I want to see. When I watch wrestling, that's what I want to see. You want to talk trash, you end up on your face. Period. End of story.
And the funny thing about this was this happened on Raw on Monday night.
I know
the fans wanted another one. They wanted him to pick him back up and give him another skull.
No, Andy, let me make that real clear. It wasn't the fans. It was me.
Oh, it was you.
Me.
Okay. Well, social media influencers, ironically, we're talking about that because here we are in social media. But is there a place for them in WWE? I mean, Bad Bunny held his own in WrestleMania a year and a half ago. That was impressive as an athlete. And Logan Paul was at WrestleMania, and he held his own there, but he was in a tag team, as was Bad Bunny. Logan Paul signed a WWE contract, meaning he's on his own now, Steve, and he failed miserably.
We'll see tonight. We will see tonight.
But he failed miserably at talking on the mic the other night. I don't know if this was the right decision. This one I can't wait for, okay? That's our boy, Pat McAfee. And Baron Corbin. Interestingly enough, folks, for all of you that maybe don't follow WWE as closely as I do, these two were former teammates with the Indianapolis Colts. Did you know that?
I didn't know about Happy Corbin, but, anybody that named himself Happy, I'm cool with it.
Listen, I think the WWE has done McAfee right. I think McAfee's going to win the match tonight. But the main event is what we're all staying up for, at least I am. And that's last man standing, the final match between Brock and Roman Reigns. Tomorrow, Steve, marks 700 days, if he wins tonight, that Roman Reigns will have maintained the Universal Championship. This will be interesting because Drew McIntyre beat Sheamus in a Donnybrook last night to face the winner of that match at Clash at the Castle coming up on Labor Day. If they want to sell tickets, I'm thinking Roman's going to retain tonight, but you never know. They teased Brock against Drew at the end of SmackDown last night. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, let me tell you why I won't be watching that match tonight.
Because you're going to be watching this instead.
Exactly. This is what I'm going to be watching. Pena Nunes 2 title fights, rematches. Moreno against Cara France 2, Pena against Nunes 2. The bad blood is picking up between the two ladies. Both women made weight. They're ready to rock and roll. I can't wait. This is going down in Dallas tonight. This is what it's all about, people. I'm talking about straight up brawling. It's going to be a fight tonight, and I'm going to be in the house to watch it.
You're also going to have SummerSlam on another television. I know you.
No, I probably won't. I probably won't.
Okay.
I probably
So
won't.
you're going to expect me to text you all night with the winners? Is that what it is?
No.
He puts on a good front, folks, but trust me, he'll be watching. All right, Steve, that's it for the quick hitters. I know we're running a little late because of technical difficulties, so maybe we should hurry it up.
Yeah, we do need to speed things along a little bit. Let's get into what we call hurry up.
Hurry up.
All right, let's start with the Major League Baseball trade deadline. It's coming up on Tuesday, August 2nd. That's this coming Tuesday. A lot of rumors going around, Steve, about what might happen, but we did have a deal that actually did happen overnight. How about this? Your Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, the destruction of the Reds continues.
Seem to want to leave Cincinnati with making moves like this because they're not going to sell any tickets anymore.
Well, we wasn't selling no tickets in the first place. What are you talking about?
That's true, too. They trade their number one starter, one of the top 10 pitchers in all of baseball in a lot of people's eyes, and Luis Castillo to the Mariners for the number.
No, okay. This one here is hot trash. Okay, the last deal we got was just trash. This is hot garbage. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Cincinnati, for ruining another season.
Okay, but will Castillo be enough to get the Mariners into the playoffs and end the longest drought in Major League Baseball for missing the playoffs?
No.
You say no? I say yes. I say yes because there are 3 spots available, not 2, for the wild card. There's no way in hell they're catching Houston. That's already a done deal. Forget it. They've already got a 12-game deficit there. They're solely focused on the wild card. I wouldn't want to play that team if they get in, Steve. That's all I'm saying. All right, the big one to keep an eye on here is Juan Soto. And where's he going to land? Is he going to go to San Diego? Are the Dodgers going to pony up and bring another giant name, giant salary? What about the Cardinals? Or is there a team out there that we aren't even talking about that are going to sweep in and get the deal done? What do you think?
Or how about he just stay with the damn team that he's on? How about that?
He doesn't want to do that. That's why he turned down a 15-year, $440 million extension to do that. He's not staying there. They're going to trade him. You can't let him walk next year for nothing. You have to get something for this guy. They're going to trade him.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. You know,
Speaking of, are they going to trade him? Really? Could the Angels trade Shohei Ohtani? He was asked about it this week. He said, right now I'm an Angel, but his contract expires next year. Steve, Mike Trout now has a back injury that we've never even heard of, apparently. And
for carrying the whole damn franchise on his damn back for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean,
it's called broken back syndrome. Y'all done broke my damn back.
I know the owner wants to keep him, but logically speaking, if you're going to rebuild, is there anybody that, is hotter than Shohei Ohtani as far as what you could get in return? It's a tough decision. I'm glad I'm not the one making it. Let me put it that way. All right. Speaking of more trade possibilities, what about the Red Sox? They are slumping. They are at the bottom of the AL East. Are you serious? And could they send away JD Martinez? He helped them win a World Series when he first got there. He's still a legitimate power hitter. He was an all-star again this year. Could be a missing piece for a team that's trying to make the playoffs or already in a position.
Great pawn in the chip to be able to kickstart your comeback, man. It's just one of them years for the Red Sox, man. They can utilize that guy to get more assets, man. That'd be a great move for them.
All right, and then the final one we're going to take a look at here: Wilson Contreras, the longtime Cub, could be traded. A lot of teams, including the Guardians, surprisingly being mentioned as a possibility. They do need a catcher. Austin Hedges is a veteran, but he can't hit anything. Even the broadside of a barn. I think his batting average is under 200, but he's only on the team because he's a great catcher. and he helps the pitching staff. But at some point, you got to get offensive production from that spot in the lineup. This guy would be a great addition, not only to the Guardians, but to any team. Steve, can you imagine if he goes to the Mets? They just swept the Yankees in the Subway Series. Maybe that puts them over the top in the NL.
And that's the team that I'm looking at, the Mets.
All right. And then before we close out the trade deadline talks, here we are after the All-Star break. The top seeds in the AL, the Yankees, the top seeds in the NL, the Dodgers. Are we inevitably headed for this clash in the World Series?
Yankees are going to have to shore up their bullpen, and they just had one of their guys go down, man, for the season. They're going to have to shore that up. But man, the rich keep getting richer, man, and really right now the way that both of these teams are playing, they appear to be on a collision course.
Yeah, and something to keep in mind too, Tampa Bay is in that third wild card spot right now. Steve, they're still hanging in there despite the fact that they have 17 players on IL right now. If that team gets healthy, they could easily run up the board in the division. Probably not catch New York because they're so far ahead. But I'd look out for Tampa if they get healthy. That's another team I wouldn't want to play if they get into the playoffs. All right, so there you have it. That's going to do it for the hurry up. Now I think you are excited about this because we have kicked off the NFL preseason with training camps starting earlier this week. So it's only right that we once again take a look at some storylines here. All right, last week we were talking about Lamar Jackson. Let's take a look at a couple of signings that happened this week. First of all, you've got Julio Jones going to Tampa Bay on a one-year deal. And then also you've got DK Metcalf staying, surprisingly, in Seattle. 3 years, $72 million, plus a $30 million signing bonus. Steve, is this the right move for the Seahawks and for Metcalf?
Well, they had to do something, man, to try to bring some kind of stability to the team. A lot of uncertainty going into this year. My sources are telling me that Geno Smith is the leading candidate to win the quarterback. He's got the leg up on the quarterback contest, but they had to do something, man. They let Russell Wilson go. They let Bobby Wagner go. Those are identifying cornerstones on your team. Mm-hmm. This was the last piece in identifying cornerstone. DJ Metcalf, they got him in-house. Now they can move on.
So you talked about Geno Smith possibly winning the quarterback job, right? So Wouldn't this make a lot more sense?
Yeah, but man, the price for Seattle to get Jimmy G from San Francisco is going to be way, way too much. I don't believe they have the draft capital or willing to pony up the draft capital to be able to make such a move. What my sources is telling me where Jimmy is going, okay, would be the Atlanta Falcons. That's what they're telling me. Atlanta, now that the camps have started, they've got a chance to see the quarterbacks that they have in-house. They're not really too enthused with that. Marcus Mariota, just say it out loud. Are you really cool with Marcus Mariota quarterbacking your team? Man, Jimmy G would look good in that uniform.
The other thing that, going back to the Seattle possibility, are you really going to trade him within the division?
And that's why the draft capital is going to be so much higher. It's going to cost you more because it's within the division.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, sticking with the sticking with the NFL storylines. This was a little shocking to hear. Such a young man, Steve. John Mechie, the second-round pick of the Texans, diagnosed with leukemia earlier this week. Seems to be in good spirits and was able to address his teammates. Something maybe Houston can rally around, but you got to feel for the kid. He tore his ACL in the national championship, which is why he fell to the second round. And now, now he's got to deal with an even tougher battle. We're going to be praying for him. We wish him all the best. I would think that he's going to come through this just fine on the other side. It sounds like they got it early enough. And, we've seen plenty of athletes, including, by the way, Roman Reigns in the WWE, twice beat leukemia. So I think he's going to do it. Let's wish him all the best. And then the other big story this week was Kyler Murray's contract included originally a deal about studying film, but then they had to remove it, Steve. And here's why. I believe you've got a clip for us on that.
that I've accomplished in my career, and not be a student of the game, and not have that passion, and not take this serious is almost, it's disrespectful, and it's almost a joke, you know. It's, to me, it's I'm flattered, you know. I'm honestly flattered that y'all think that at my size I can go out there and not prepare for the game and not not take it serious. It's disrespectful, I feel like, to my peers, to all the great athletes and great players that are in this league. This game's too hard. I refuse to let my work ethic, my preparation be in question. You know, I've put an incomprehensible amount of time and blood, sweat, tears, and work into what I do, whether it's football or baseball. You know, people can't even comprehend the amount of time that it takes to do two sports at a high level in college, you know, let alone do it, you know, be the first person to do it ever at my size. It's, like I said, this is, it's funny, but to those of you out there that believe that I'd be standing here today in front of y'all without having a work ethic and without preparing it, I'm honored that you think that, but it doesn't exist. It's not possible. It's not possible. So that's all I have on that.
Andy, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever told a joke that kind of hurt somebody's feelings a little bit, or said something to somebody and it hurt their feelings? And you was like, I was just joking. Okay, and I say that to say this: there is truth in every joke. Okay, the reason they put that in that clause in that contract is because he was spending too much time on Xbox. Okay,
yes,
that's the truth. Okay,
yes.
It's a reason that they came out. Now, the fact that they came out later and said, "Oh, we was just kidding. We didn't mean it that way." Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You knew exactly what the hell you were saying. So yeah, it's a big deal, man, that they put that in there, man. You know,
they had coming from somebody that's been in PR and dealing with media fiascos, they had to pull it because this wasn't going to go away, Steve. No. He had to have a press conference to shut everybody up, but had they not pulled that clause, that they would have stayed on this all season. You know, oh, Kyler, you're really not studying the playbook? Like, you threw 4 interceptions today. Maybe you should go study the playbook. Think about that. Think about that. If he has one bad game, that's the first thing those reporters are going to go after.
Exactly. So they had to jump on him to get ahead of it. And this guy's he's got to call a damn press conference, you know.
Yeah. All right. So we did the AFC East last week. Now it's time to look at the NFC East quarterback ranking.
Let's do it.
So number 4, obviously didn't see the field a lot last year. Had to put Daniel Jones at the bottom. I think skill-wise, Steve, maybe he's a little bit better than a couple other quarterbacks in the division, but he hasn't proved that yet. And again, he's coming off some concussion issues, a knee issue, an ankle issue. So, we'll put him at number 4 for right now. Yeah. That means that Carson Wentz from the Commanders is at number 3. Steve, if you look at those numbers, they really aren't that bad. But he continues to turn the ball over at the wrong time. It's not the total.
And that's where I'm going. This is a classic example where numbers lie. Because on the outside, it looks like he had a great year. But in situations, and these are the situations that we talk about with these type of quarterbacks. Situationally, can they be productive? Mm-hmm. Answer has been no.
So we've got Jalen Hurts at 2. Took the Eagles to the playoffs last year. Steve, this is his make or break year. They went out and got everything he needed in free agency and in the draft. Listen, he's got the best opportunity of anybody from that draft to prove he can be the guy. Can he be the guy? Is this all he needed? Was the talent?
With the weapons that they have in line right now and the rare talent, you really have to like what they've done. You can see that they are attempting to remain relevant within that division. If they can't overtake Dallas this year, then they know they've got to make a change at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way into the playoffs out of the East, right, is to win the division, because everybody else is going to be a lot better. That leaves us with number 1. This is an obvious, Dak Prescott. I mean, look at those numbers, MVP-type numbers. That quarterback ranking is impressive. listen, Steve, when he's healthy, one of the best 15 quarterbacks in the league, without question. But can he be consistent enough to get it done in the playoffs? That's our question as far as our overall ranking, which we're going to take a look at here in a second.
Situationally, has Dak improved in situations? It's situational football that got Dallas knocked out of the playoffs last year, because when the situation mattered, Dak failed miserably. So have they learned their lesson? It's going to be tough, because you've taken away talent from that base.
Yeah, Amari Cooper's now a Brown.
And then you lost offensive line help. You've lost Cedric Wilson to the Dolphins. That core has to be replaced. Did they replace it? We'll find out.
Do you think Dallas sometimes rests on the laurels of being in the NFC East, and they aren't aggressive enough when it comes to the draft or free agency? I mean, it seems like it's their division to lose every year.
No, I think that Dallas analyzes its talent. I don't think that some of the talent on Dallas is as good as the Cowboys think they are, especially the homegrown talent.
Yep.
That is the problem that Jerry has. The thing that I love about Sean McVay is, if they get it wrong, hey, we got it wrong. Get the hell out of here. Let's move on.
Yep.
Dallas is like, no, we're going to make this work.
Well, speaking of Sean's, keep an eye out if Mark McCarthy struggles for Sean Payton to step in. Even though that's probably coming next year, maybe it happens this year if McCarthy can't handle the pressure. We'll see. All right, let's take a look at the division overall. So we've got Dak at 1. Overall in the NFL, like I said, we've got him as a top 15. We have him at 14. Daniel Jones at number 4. Overall at 27. Again, this is mostly because of injuries. Jalen Hurts at 2. We've got him at 18 overall. And then Carson Wentz at 3. We've got him at 23 overall. Steve, if there's one team, as we look at this division, and we're going to look at it in our predictions here in a moment, but if there's one team that can catch Dallas, is it Philly or is it Washington?
It's Philly.
All right. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and take a look at our complete breakdown of the NFC East. This is where we think things are going to play out this year, folks.
NFC East preview. The Keeping It Real Sports NFL preview continues with the NFC East. The New York Giants are projected to finish 3-14 and 4th in the NFC East. The Giants have not won the NFC East since 2011 and 2012 when they won the Super Bowl. Since then, they have been to the playoffs only in 2016 and have had 5 straight 10-plus lost seasons. They're on their 4th head coach in 6 seasons now that Brian Daboll is taking over. They're hoping that he is the answer and he can stick around for more than 2 seasons, unlike the previous 3 coaches. The Giants have had a really good draft, drafting linebacker Kayvon Thibodeau and tackle Evan Neal out of Alabama. I don't see the Giants making a lot of noise. They have a lot of questions about Daniel Jones, his health, and his ability to be a franchise quarterback. Can Saquon Barkley stay healthy and return to his rookie year? Can the defense return to its elite form now that they've cut ties with James Bradbury and Logan Ryan? Looks like a rebuilding year for me. 3-14. That brings us to the Washington Commanders. Newly acquired quarterback Carson Wentz looks to return to his 2017 form where he almost won an MVP. Since then, he has struggled and he's on his 3rd team in 3 years after it didn't work out in Indy. It is Washington or bust now for Carson Wentz in his NFL career, and hopefully Washington finally has their guy. They made it interesting last year, going on a 4-game winning streak until losing 4 of their last 5 to close out the 2021 campaign to go 7-10. This year, Washington could be much improved with defensive end Chase Young returning from ACL and a returning Antonio Gibson and wideout Curtis Samuel. But don't expect a lot out of them. I'm looking for them to be 7-10 in that loaded NFC, what do they call it? The least. That brings us to the Philadelphia Eagles. And Philadelphia made a successful season last year by finishing 9-8 and making the playoffs. The big question that looms around the city of brotherly love is, can Jalen Hurts take them into Super Bowl contention? This offseason, General Manager Howie Roseman made key acquisitions that prove the Eagles are an organization that is invested in winning. Hurts now has a true number one wide receiver in Tennessee Titan A.J. Brown to go along with the Heisman Trophy winner Devonta Smith and speedster Quez Watkins. This new array of weapons on the outside will make defense think twice about stacking the box to stop running back Miles Sanders. Who expects a big year out of them? Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean were key additions to the Eagles defense, as was Hassan Reddick and James Bradbury, who was brought in to shore up that defense. I see the Eagles going 9-8. That brings us to the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys, they have had a ton of talent throughout the years. The Cowboys have only won 3 playoff games in the last 20 years. There are rumors that the Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones, has interest in bringing in Sean Payton to lead his team. But at the moment, does not look like that'll happen this year. Mike McCarthy will need to be on pace to make the playoffs and win to a playoff game to hold Jerry Jones from making a move. The Cowboys had key departures in Amari Cooper and Randy Gregory. How will they get that new pickup talent? Well, they picked up the Dante Fowler to try to help offset the loss of Randy Gregory. Is that going to be enough? I don't know. Dak Prescott balling. It's enough for them to go 11-6 in the NFC East. There you go. Keeping it real. Sports brings you the NFC East. That's the NFC East edition, man. Hey, look, Sandman, let's get right into the AFC East.
Let's do it.
Let's get into the AFC East. Keeping it real sports preview. And we're going to start with our 4th place team, which would be the New England Patriots. Now, if my prediction holds true, this will be the first time since 2000 that the Patriots would finish last in the AFC East, with a truly remarkable run for New England. But they let their best defender go in the offseason, J.C. Jackson, who is one of the league's premier corners with tremendous ball hawking skills, and he got nothing to show for it but a compensatory pick. And after Jackson left in free agency, the Patriots doubled down and let Shaq Mason go for a mere 5th round pick. I tell you, we even talked about Josh McDaniels. The one thing that they did do that I like is they got Devontae Parker if he can stay healthy. But even then, that's going to be a tough ask. I'm looking at their schedule. 6-11 is being kind of generous. Number 3, we're looking at the New York Jets. And I tell you what, they've definitely made a step in the right direction. They've really drafted well. Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas have done a great job. They've acquired a ton of young talent: Quentin Williams, Mekhi Becton, Denzel Mims, Ashton Davis, Bryce Hall, Zach Wilson, Vera Tucker, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, Ahmad Gardner, Jerry Wilson, Jermaine Johnson. I mean, those are interesting prospects. But I tell you, just too much to have them to come across in a very tough division. I like them at 7-10. And that brings us to number 2, which would be the Miami Dolphins. And that's another team that made a lot of great strides forward. I really like what they did, especially with their coach. They brought in McDonald, and McDonald is a young coach, but what he's going to do is he's a quarterback protector, and he's going to protect Tua. They made great moves. They brought in Raheem Mostert. They brought in Teron Allen, Armstead to help shore up that offensive line. Tyreek Hill, Melvin Ingram. Man, it's going to be tough in that division, but I tell you, they've made a lot of strides forward. I really, really like what they've done. But I see 11-6 is in a very tough division. You know, could be looking at playoffs, but I like the Miami Dolphins. And that brings us to number 1, the Buffalo Bills. And you know what I'm thinking? They've dominated the AFC East for 2 seasons, and now they get even better this offseason. They add Von Miller to shore up a pass rush, but they select Kahir Elam in the first round to be their cornerback 2 opposite of Darius White. But the problem is, Tre'Davious White is still recovering from the ACL injury he suffered last year. My question is, will he be ready for week 1? The Los Angeles Rams wait for him then. And if it's not, how long will it be? Will it be ready effectively? If he's not effective to go the first few weeks, the Bills are trotting out a young, talented core. Teron Jackson, Dane Jackson, Tryon Johnson, and Kahir Elam. Brian Daboll is gone. They replace him with Ken Dorsey. A lot of question marks, but they've got a lot. There you go. That's the AFC East. Keeping the Real Sports NFL preview.
I know we're running tight on time, but, the one thing I think might surprise a lot of people the most out of those previews was the fact that we had the Jets ahead of the Patriots, considering all the shambles that New York went through and has been through. We just feel like what they've done in the draft and what they've done in free agency and their schedule, and we believe in Zach Wilson a little bit more than most, I think, as well.
Well, you finally got, they're starting to put this thing together, man. They just signed Quan Allen this week, man. He comes over, man, to rejoin his defensive coordinator. So, man, it's a lot going on, man. For a lot of steps forward for what they're doing. I like the Jets.
All right. So there you have it. So we've got 2 teams in so far this year. Don't forget to subscribe and like we've been saying all along. We appreciate the support. Again, sorry for the technical delays, which delayed us a little bit here this morning. Don't expect that to happen too much in the future, but maybe every now and then, we could run into that. I don't foresee it happening, though. But, Steve, that's going to do it. 44 in the books. We got more previews coming next week, and who knows what else will happen after the trade deadline on Tuesday. So the Hall of Fame game's coming up. The Hall of Fame inductions are coming up. We're going to look at all of that and more as we get to episode 45. In our first week in August. That'll be doing it for this week.
Yep. So another week in the books, man. So until next week.
We wish you love.
And peace. Deuces.